The events of 9/11 transformed life for Americans Muslims almost overnight. There was open hostility aimed at them, Muslim Americans, solely because of their faith. Now, many of those were African Americans, well versed in navigating hate, but this was a new chapter in an old book. Edward Ahmed Mitchell is the Deputy Executive Director of CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, and he is in Washington, D.C. And Mr. Mitchell, thanks for being with us. What are some of your most vivid memories from that day? Because I remember all of a sudden it was like a light switch went off and people then started to hate anybody who had anything Muslim either in front of or behind their name.
Well, first, thank you so much for having me. And my recollection is almost exactly the same. I was about 15 years old when 9/11 happened. I was a freshman in high school. And what was unique about me is that my father was a Muslim, but I at the time did not publicly identify as a Muslim. I was kind of, you could say, a floater, still looking for the truth. And so it was very strange to go to school and see my friends in this rural, conservative, mostly white area of the state of Georgia express all manner of anti-Muslim bigotry towards people that I knew from my personal life and knew were good people. And so it was very difficult, and it also made my own journey towards Islam very interesting and a little more difficult. And I think that was the story across America. But it's also true that many Americans, especially in the African American community, responded with outreach to their Muslim neighbors, responded by building bridges, engaging interfaith dialogue. Bigotry was not the universal response to 9/11. I think most people, especially in those first days, their better angels took control and they formed bridges and didn't burn them.
One of the first things that George W. Bush did after 9/11 was went to a mosque and said, Islam is not our enemy. Can you imagine today if this had happened during the Trump administration, what life would have been like for Muslim Americans after September 11th? Because in New York, he actually said that there were Muslims who were celebrating in the suburbs of Manhattan.
Right. I mean, I cannot imagine what President Trump's response to 9/11 would have been. Thank God we do not have to find out. But it is true that President George W. Bush, who was actually relatively friendly to the Muslim community before 9/11, went to the oldest mosque in D.C. and publicly said, you know, this attack does not represent Muslims. It does not represent Islam. And he said that standing alongside Muslim leaders, including the leader of my organization, CARE. That was a different time. You don't necessarily see that sort of rhetoric, especially from that political party anymore. But that is how it was handled then. And again, that was the better angels taking control in the first days after 9/11. But in the years after it, we obviously saw something very different in how Muslims in this country and around the world were treated.
I'm curious, is there a bifurcated Muslim movement in the United States? Many of those, and I'm sure your father might have been in this group, really became members of the Nation of Islam following Malcolm X and others. But then Al-Qaeda happened, and we started learning about things like Al-Qaeda. We started learning about Osama bin Laden. Did a lot of Muslim Americans actually understand the international implications of the darker side of Islam after September 11th as well?
Well, look, there's only one Islam, and it's all light. I'll put it that way. Al-Qaeda's behavior does not represent any side of Islam any more than the KKK's behavior represents a side of Christianity. My father actually converted directly to Islam proper, which is different than the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam is a unique religion that follows an American prophet and has some other unique beliefs about race that mainstream Muslims do not hold. So I think for the American people, there was probably confusion because many Americans probably know about the Nation of Islam and they think that represents Islam. They don't realize that the overwhelming majority of Muslims around the world are not members of the Nation of Islam. And so I think after 9/11, there was actually an opportunity for education, for people to understand what a Sunni Muslim was, what a Shia Muslim was, and then also to find out that what Al-Qaeda did and what these extremist groups do does not represent the religion of 1.5 to 1.9 billion people around the world. I think there was already a head start on that thanks to African-American Muslim leaders like Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, the Imam W.D. Muhammad. There had already been a lot of progress made in America in educating the American people about their Muslim neighbors. But after 9/11, the one positive thing that came out of this tragedy, this horrible day, was that increased interfaith dialogue among the American people.
I don't know if you knew this or not, but in the days and weeks that followed 9/11, The Bush administration was asking, and I don't know if you recall this, Muslim Americans to come in voluntarily and talk about their experience in this country. And I remember there being a meeting in the conference room that I was in the organization that I was working at the time. And they said, what was wrong with that? What was wrong with asking Muslim Americans to come in and talk about being a Muslim? And I said, well, which one did you plan on? Perhaps I pointed out my daughter's best friend and her father, the man who collected the toll on the toll road, the person that delivered the food at night. Muslim Americans are so interwoven into society, especially in Washington, D.C., it was almost insulting on its face, and yet it was a question that was asked.
Well, look, I think there's nothing wrong with our neighbors, that is, individual people, houses of worship, wanting to learn more about their Muslim neighbors. I think that's a wonderful thing. I think when the government, tries to reach out to Muslims and make Muslims explain themselves, I think that's we don't want our government to ever be in. But again, I think it is something that's very important for all people in our country to do, to learn about people of different faiths. And I think it's something that we as Muslims have really put a very concerted effort into learning about our neighbors and making sure they know about us, about our real beliefs, our real practices. We've given out thousands of Qurans over the past 20 years because we believe that the truth is the best medicine to discrimination, that education is the best vaccine against discrimination and bigotry. So no problem with individuals doing something like that, but the government has always got to keep its distance and let individual people and communities and organizations engage in that sort of dialogue.
Final question, are Muslim Americans worse off or better off after September 11th, 20 years later?
Well, look, I think our country as a whole is so much worse off in so many ways. We've seen national security overreach, an increase in hate crimes and discrimination and bigotry, mass surveillance, so many horrible things have happened. But on the other side, I do think that our country has now become more cautious about engaging in foolish military adventures overseas. We've become more aware of the need to use diplomacy instead of force to try to address problems in the world. And I think as American Muslims, we have become much more politically engaged, much more civically engaged, and much more self-confident, I think, over the past 20 years. I think we have met many of the challenges that the 9/11 terrorist attacks created for us in our country. And I think we've overcome many of those challenges. And I think, God willing, we'll continue to do that. So I can't say we're better off, but I will say that our community has overcome many of the challenges that horrible day created for us and for our country.
Final question, and a bite of an apple that you may not want to take or you may want to take. The FBI saying the #1 terrorism threat in the United States is that from white supremacists and not from overseas terrorism. Your thoughts?
Well, I'm glad the FBI has realized that, because we've been saying that for years. 9/11 obviously was the worst terrorist attack in our nation's history, but we have to remember the Oklahoma City bombing, Eric Robert Rudolph's attacks happened just before that, and we've seen right-wing attacks happen over and over again in the years since 9/11. It is a pervasive, persistent threat, and we saw that right-wing extremists got closer to toppling a branch of our government than any Muslim extremist group has ever gotten. So absolutely, that is the #1 threat facing our country in terms of domestic extremism, and our government should act accordingly. We should not be singling out people of color or Muslims for attention when we are not the main threat or a threat at all facing our country.
Edward Ahmed Mitchell, he is the Deputy Executive Director at the Council on American Islamic Relations, CAIR. I thank you for being with us.